Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So, today we're going to talk about your standards. This was an interesting conversation that I had over the weekend, and just like, what are you basing it off of? Where is the comparison there? What's your bare minimum? Because I think, and I think oftentimes we can get a bit complacent on our standards and where we are in life, because we can say things like, oh, well, we're not as bad as so-and-so, or we're not where so-and-so is. And I really want to challenge you to check what that standard is, because over the weekend, I had texted my family and I said I was so grateful for them. And I kind of caught myself before I sent it, because I was having a conversation with my neighbor and I said, we're headed up to see my husband's family for a wedding. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody. And he said, oh, that's really nice, and made a comment about how he hasn't spoken to his daughter I think it was his daughter or his son, in like 10 years. And I thought, wow, that's awful. And it did make me immediately grateful for my family, but because my siblings and we still talk pretty regularly. My older brother and I actually just got off the phone with him this morning. We talk several times throughout the week. My sisters and I periodically, my little brother and we text periodically as well, but to not speak to one of my siblings for years just is unfathomable to me. And unfortunately, it seems to be fairly common. I mean, my dad says it when we go up there and visit at the lake house, and he's got a lot of friends in Florida, where he lives most of the year, and a lot of the people his age have children or siblings that they haven't spoken to in decades. And it just makes me sad that it's acceptable at this point, right? Like, I understand our family can do a great job of pissing us off, 100%. But I truly believe that we've chosen our family for a healing purpose. What part of me can benefit from this relationship? And it's truly just sad to me that kind of becomes our standard of like, well, at least I still talk to my siblings, right? Like my best friend, last year it was a sibling trip. It was just her and her siblings. None of the kids, none of the spouses. It was just the four of them hung out. And I thought it was delightful. They hung out in their little inflatable costumes. They did crazy things together as siblings. And I thought, I want that to be my standard, right? I want that to be the thing where that becomes normal, not the fact that you don't speak to your spouse, like you don't speak to your siblings, is the normal. And so how do we get ourselves to those points? And it 100% just came through in what are you measuring against? Are you measuring against the thing that you truly desire, or the bare minimum? Because if you're moving towards the thing that you truly desire, your standards are going to be elevated for sure. But if you're like, well, at least I'm not that, and you're measuring it against the bare minimum, well, it's easy to beat the bare minimum. I can beat the bare minimum in my sleep, right? And it becomes, what standard are you measuring yourself to? Yes, and I know this can go down a slippery slope, and then you're stuck in this whole idea of like, you're never actually going to achieve that thing. But it's like, what are you actually moving towards, as opposed to what are you moving away from, right? Like, what is your focus? Because focusing on this higher standard is not the same as not focusing on the lower standard. Because they're two different bullseyes, they're two different pinpoints here. And it does cause a deeper conversation, right? I am the person that's going to turn just about any conversation into a deep philosophical, theological, blah, 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 whatever, right? Like, I am just by nature a deep thinker. And so I have these conversations and sometimes pull people off guard because they're not necessarily prepared for the depth of it, right? But that's okay. I like to make people think. If you're going to ask me a question, we're going to engage in a conversation, there's a good chance I'm going to take it way past what the weather is like today, right? Like, I don't care for those conversations at this stage in life. Like, I would much rather find out what makes you click than anything else here. So when it comes to these kinds of things, good morning, son. So when it comes to your standards, right? What are you measuring those standards against? Are you just hoping that you're better than the bare minimum? Or are you elevating yourself towards a much higher standard? Right? Like, a lot of it, and this is not something that we generally all think about from time to time, right? It is more something where sometimes we just gloss over, right? We don't necessarily pay a whole lot of attention to it. Maybe not until like the first of the year where you're like, okay, New Year's resolution, but maybe you're not even looking at the standard that way because I don't know. I don't see that as a regular conversation that people are having, right? Like, and to another point, right? If this is the standard, what are you doing then? Because it's fine to say, okay, here's the bare minimum. We want nothing to do with that. Here's the standard that we'd love to get to. But if there's no way to bridge that gap, then it's just a conversation. It's not actually becoming something. It won't ever come to fruition until you start to bridge that gap of where you are, maybe, right, to where you want to be. And this is the work that I do. I help you bridge that gap between maybe where you are currently in that standard of whether it's your relationships with your family members, whether it's with your money, whether it's with your business, whether it's with your spouse, like whatever, because all of our life is relational. And if you're here but you want to be there, sometimes there's overthinking that happens, and sometimes there's inaction that happens. And I help to bridge that gap. I take you from here to there in a way that doesn't overwhelm your nervous system, where you're not hijacking the whole thing, in a way that actually you will start to enjoy that process. And that's kind of fun. So when it comes to these things, right, like, again, I know this was a conversation that my husband and my sister-in-law had over the weekend, right? Like, being more intentional with the phone calls, with the check-ins, as opposed to just, we see them once a year on the holidays kind of thing, right? So I challenge you to take a look at this. See what you are measuring yourself against. Is it the bare minimum? Because, let's face it, we can probably all do way better than the bare minimum without much effort. Or are you focused on something much higher? Right? All right. I'm going to sign off here. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.